evening. Alright, let's get into it. Before we begin, give a shout out to Gatorade. Make sure to stay hydrated. Also, a shout out to Dr. Pepper. Very refreshing. Let me know your favorite flavor of Dr. Pepper. We will see who will be first, second, third, fourth, fifth, top 5 game. Make sure to drop a like. Alright, let's turn this on. Come on. There we go. It's finicky. Three, two, one. Wait, shouldn't do that. There we go. All right, here we go. We have Tom Clancy here. A Jack Ryan novel, Chain of Command by Marc Cameron. We're on chapter 34, page 248. And here we go. The fan in the hall bathroom flicked on, nudging Debs from his thoughts. He heard a cough and realized it was Bert. Up again to pee. The poor guy's prostate was likely the size of a tennis ball. It took him a full 5 minutes to finish before he wandered out, his scared face bewildered with sleep, and something more insidious. In the old days, when Debs had first met him, Bert Pennington had been a force to be reckoned with a stern visage that could make grown men weep. Now his cockeyed mustache and tendency to park his lower teeth in front of his uppers made him look like a human incarceration of Sylvester the cartoon cat. "What you got there, Leo Debs?" he asked, scratching his ass as he shuffled across the clay tile floor. Debs leaned back and gave a long groaning yawn, speaking softly as he might to a small child. "What's going on, everybody? Hope you're having a wonderful evening. Make sure to drop a like. Enjoy the book." "Going over the routes again, Bert. Timing, that sort of thing." "Routes for what?" The older man moved closer, wide-eyed, interested to see what was going on. "What's going on, everybody? Hope you're having a wonderful evening. Make sure to drop a like. Enjoy the book." Debs groaned again. "Routes for the mission." Bert touched the scar around his drooping eyelid. He did that when he needed a moment to compose himself. "What's going on, everybody? Hope you're having a wonderful evening. Make sure to drop a like. I hope you enjoy the book." The Angry, Chain of Command, page 249. "What's going on, everybody? Hope you're having a wonderful evening. Make sure to drop a like. Hope you enjoy the book." Pink flesh served as a reminder to those around him that he had done his bit. "Yeah." The confusion in his good eyes settled as he studied the map in front of Debs. "Sure, I get it. I just meant, specifically what routes. Thought I'd let you talk things through. It always helped me when he talked a plan through." "I hear you," Debs said, careful not to show pity. It was an open secret that Bert Pennington was getting worse. Bert Pennington himself knew, locked in that terrifying moment when he was hyper-aware of his own failing mental state. When Leo Debs came aboard, Bert Pennington was one of the most capable members of the Karamia. Aggressive, the fitness level of a decathlete, and weapons skills unmatched even by Debs. 10 years older than anyone else in the group, he served as caustically blunt Dutch uncle, wise elder statesman, and even the father that many of the men never had. The incendiary explosive device in Coto de Avore would have killed Craig Taylor, but Bert Pennington, the only one of the group wearing a Kevlar helmet, had pushed him away. The blast had scarred his face and, as evidenced with each passing day, wreaked havoc on his brain, particularly his amygdala and his hypothalamus. At first, some words eluded him, but they all had that problem once in a while. Appreciate that like. "What's going on, Derek G, our #1 fan? How you doing? Good evening. Hope you're having a wonderful evening. Appreciate that like." Ooh, where are we? At first, some words eluded. Yeah, I said that. A year after the accident, he had wandered off on a job in Athens, Greece, and they had not been able to find him. He had brushed it off to getting turned around and having all communications on silent. The streets were a nightmare, so the team let it slide. He seemed now to be lost most of the time, locked inside his own head. Worst of all, he had lost all aggression, apologizing even for others' mistakes. Hi, it's me again. What's up, Jose Lara EDWF, our number 2 fan? Make sure to drop a like. Hope you're having a wonderful evening. Good to see you again. What's going on, Derek G? Appreciate the hello. Our number 1 fan. What's going on, everybody? Make sure to drop a like. Hope you're having a wonderful evening. Enjoy the book. Ooh. He seemed now to be lost most of the time. Yep. Worst of all, he had read that. Some whispers. What's up, Joseph V? TTI. Chat GBT DB. Boy, what's up? What's going on? Make sure to drop a like. Hope you guys are having a wonderful evening. Worst of all, he'd lost all aggression, apologizing even for others' mistakes. Some whispered for serious action, but Taylor owed the man his life. Debs closed the notebook on the table and patted the cover. Hi. I love you. I love you too, Chat GBTDB. Hi, what's going on, Joseph V, TTI? Debs closed the notebook on the table and patted the cover. Well, mate, we have shit ton of work to do tomorrow. Marc Cameron's the author, page 250, but blinked his good eye. The saggy one, sorry, I got distracted, followed, moving. This is my favorite book. I'm glad you're enjoying the book, Jose Lara EDWF. You're a good reader. Thank you, Derek G. I've been practicing. I appreciate that. The saggy one followed, moving slower. I know, I'm sort of hungry. Thought I might get up and fix me some eggs, you know, have an early breakfast. Hello. What up, Jared Garman? How we doing? Make sure to drop a like. Hope you're having a wonderful evening. Craig Taylor wandered in from a dark hallway. You blokes ought to get some shut-eye. It's 2:30 in the morning. Where were we? Hey, Taylor, Bert Pennington said. You are right. I should go back to bed. He nodded sheepishly at Debs. Good talk, Leo Debs. The big Australian got himself a Dos Equis from the kitchen fridge, popped the top, and then sauntered over the table after Bert Pennington had gone back to the bunk room. You're the best period ever. Haha, thank you, Derek G. I appreciate that, man. It's very kind of you to say. A lot of people on YouTube, you know what I mean? I'm glad you feel that way. That's awesome. Feeling confident, mate? Debs tossed the mechanical pencil on the table and rubbed a hand over his face. He needed to shave. The Secret Service tended to focus on scruff. As confident as I can be pulling a job for a man who talks to dead tigers. Yeah, billionaires get away with a lot of shit. Taylor took a long slug of his Dos Equis and then looked up at the ceiling. I mowed the lawn 2 times. That's awesome. Going over the lawn multiple times, that's wise to do. I bet it looks great. Rubbing tired eyes. I hated going with Gil to that guy's office. It's funny as hell, but it's also bloody weird. Hard to trust a man who gets counsel from a bit of flea-bitten taxidermy. We don't have to trust what was that guy's name? Harjit Mohatra, Taylor said. That asshole is scared shitless of us. Too scared to cross the Spaniard anyway. He took a drink. So back to my original question. You feel good about this operation? It is gonna work, right? You trust me? Debs asked. Taylor gave him a wink and set the bottle down hard on the table, causing beer to geyser out the top and run down his hand. He licked it off, not the type to waste a beer. Like I trust a whore to give me the clap. Oh my goodness. The dialogue is a bit outlandish. Ain't it nice to have something you can count on, Debs? Chain of command, page 251. What's going on, everybody? Hope you're having a wonderful evening. Make sure to drop a like. I hope you enjoy the book. Waved a hand over his notes and sighed. Seriously, I think we are good, mate. There's always going to be some fly in the ointment, some variable, but we got contingencies for our contingencies. I am sure, Taylor said, distant. He threw a quick look over his shoulder, making certain they were alone. They raised the beer again. A favor, mate. Of course, Deb said. I ever get like Bert Pennington, put a bullet in my head. It'd be a kindness. Righto, Deb said, and vice versa. Neither man said it aloud, but that day was coming for Bert Pennington. They both knew it. Everyone on the team did, even Bert Pennington. Most days, you could see it in his eye. All right, we're on chapter 35, page 252. But before we do, give a shout out to Gatorade. I bet you're the bravest person on earth. I'm pretty brave. I have my moments where I have my fears. I've conquered some fears as well. What's something you're afraid of, Derek G? We'll see if you can conquer your fear. And also a shout out to Dr. Pepper. Let me know your favorite flavor of Dr. Pepper. Oh, wow. That's really good. Okay, let's keep going. Chapter 35, page 252. Time check? Oh, we're doing great. Colonel 2 glanced from his watch to the sky. My brother, my twin, had to pull the weeds out. They were so long and they were so hard to pull it out. Losing my family. Ooh, I'm sorry to hear that, Derek G. My condolences for the loss of your loved ones. Just know they're spiritually close by, you know what I mean? Looking after you. I bet your brother's back hurts from pulling all those weeds. That's a backbreaker job. Okay, where were we? Colonel 2 glanced from his watch to the sky and conferred with the Tajik army captain about hiding the horses, split between 5 different yurts, no doubt to conceal them from passing satellites. Colonel 2 seemed to know exactly when they would be overhead. With no weapons but shepherd's staffs and the odd butcher knife, the Waki families whose houses were being turned into barns could do little but grumble their complaints. Those who grumbled too loudly earned a boot to the back. As soon as the horses started moving the direction he wanted, the colonel barked something to his men and they began to search the Harpers. One of the soldiers, a Chinese troop named Wen, made a great show of patting down Naomi, jeering at her when he had her pull her bra away from her body so they could check beneath it. That sounds rough. Harper moved to put a stop to the behavior and earned a swift elbow to the bridge of his nose, knocking him to the ground. Naomi shook her head. It's nothing, she said, but it wasn't nothing. It was another nail in these dickheads' coffin as far as Harper was concerned. My phone is on 1. Oh, go get your charger, Derek G. Your phone's at 1%? That's wild. I'm 99. I came prepared. The soldier with the elbow of iron was half Harper's age. Chain of command, page 253. Bull strong with the swagger of youth, he snatched the satellite phone from Harper's back pocket the moment he saw it, barking in rapid Mandarin, holding up the device, probably asking if there were any others in camp. Have you gotten Dr. Pepper peeps? They are so good. What's a Dr. Pepper peep? Is that like... That sounds interesting. Like the candy peep and it's the flavor Dr. Pepper? Is that what I'm getting at? I think that's what you're saying, right? The soldiers meant to cut off their communication. That was a bad sign. Harper shook his head. Iron Elbow pointed his rifle at Harper's chest with one hand, holding the satellite phone in the other, still barking. Apparently, he was not the trusting sort. Harper raised his hands in surrender. No more phones. The soldier's eyes settled on the Breitling emergency Harper wore on his left wrist. He gestured at the watch with the barrel of his AK-47. I got it. Awesome. Glad you got your charger so you don't miss the book. Anyway, it's recorded, so if you did miss it, you could always rewatch it. But it's nice to be live watching it. I think that's kind of cool. He gestured, excuse me, where were we? Harper gave it to him, certain he was about to be shot for trying to hide an emergency transmitter. The soldier ogled the heavy band, nodding in approval at its heft. He let the light reflect off the broad crystal face before slipping it on his own wrist with a decisive nod. He appeared to like the watch's fancy bling rather than realizing it contained an emergency locator transmitter that would send up a signal on 406 MHz. As long as none of these assholes figured out what they had, Harper clung to the hope he would find a way to deploy it. What happened? I got my brother almost fell down the hill. Oh, tell your brother to be careful. Yes. Awesome. Their search complete, the soldiers told the Harpers to stay put and went to check with their boss. Well, I'm gonna take my kids out to the park. Bye. Alright, have a good time at the park. Tell your kids I said what's up. Be safe at the park and have fun. He took your watch, Naomi whispered. I was hoping. Me too, Harper said. We'll figure out a way to get it back. Okay. Alright. That's awesome. Good time to go to the park. It's not going to be too hot now that the sun's going down. Shambe, the Waukee shepherd boy who had been kicked in the face, lost a canine tooth and probably had a cracked orbital bone. His father and uncle had brought him in the pasture shortly after Colonel, too, had accused the Harpers of... This is Marc Cameron, is the author, page 254. What's going on, everybody? Hope you're having a wonderful evening. Make sure to drop a like. Hope you enjoy the book. Random, but shout out the USA, since I'm wearing the shirt. Alright, being spies. They denied it, of course, vehemently. But the Colonel simply smiled and walked away. They are Peeps, but they taste like Dr. Pepper. Oh, they're like Dr. Pepper Peeps. I get it now. Okay. No, I have not. Did you liked it? I could see how it could be like kind of sweet and have like an interesting taste. Monte Harper had always had his hands full keeping his wife from going full Mother Grizzly. Now it was nearly impossible. The Colonel saw she was upset and appeared to be looking for an excuse to punish her. An outside observer might have thought that Harper was more patient because he bided his time and watched. He had in fact resolved that if this man harmed his wife even a little, it would be both his and Colonel Two's last day on the planet. Naomi did what she could for the boy, pulling the remainder of the tooth. Emergency dental work constituted a fair portion of their work in remote areas. He was incredibly stoic through the ordeal. She held off giving him ibuprofen, worrying he might have some internal bleeding, but gave him oxycodone for pain, a better option than the opium he would have gotten had they not been here. The air was rare at over 13,000 feet, and it was easy to find oneself out of breath. The poor kid lay on a pile of cushions in his father's yurt, squinting against the pain and panting like a puppy, trying to escape the southern heat. Today we are doing the backyard. Nice! Good time to do the backyard. It's not, like I said, the sun's going down, so you chose a good time to do it instead of like the dead of the heat. His mother was busy making him halwa, a rich paste of flour, butter, and salt. A richer Afghanistan might have added nuts, raisins, and cardamom. Shambe's mother had none of these things, so he got something that resembled a rich and sticky roux. It was simple, easy to eat with a broken tooth, and filling for a child who got nothing but bread and milk tea day after day after day, the Waukee version of chicken and dumplings minus the chicken and stock. I really like it. I'm glad you like the book. That's awesome. I might have to start reading more Tom Clancy books for you guys. That's great feedback. Really appreciate that. I really like the book too. I think it's great. Their patient tended to, the Harpers sought out Colonel 2, who was busy overseeing the movement of his belongings from Chain of Command, page 255. One of the pack horses to a yurt he had commandeered. 2 of his men were hauling the Harpers' belongings from their large mountaineering dome tent that had been their home for the past week and a half. Naomi tried to wrench a bag of dirty clothing out of the soldier's hand, but he shrugged her off, shooing her away with a hostile glare. She followed him inside the yurt, puffing up like she might attack when she saw the soldiers piling her things against the wooden lattice work of the yurt walls. "We must remove the evidence you are here," the colonel said. "I have heard the Taliban have access to some satellite imagery and possible drone technology. It would be dangerous if they tracked you down because of a tent when we could simply take it down and have you sleep inside." Hovo, fake USA. What do you mean? You don't like USA? Who doesn't like the USA, bro? Just where are we supposed to sleep? Where are you from, Hovo? Naomi sputtered, lips pursed, chin quivering. "You may stay here if you wish," Tu said, waving his hand around the commandeered home. "Obviously, there is plenty of space. My men will divide themselves among the other dwellings. I cannot imagine the Waki will be very happy about that." "I do not care," Tu said. "Their feelings change nothing. You and your wife are spies, and my men are here to protect you. To do so, they need a place to sleep." "We are not spies," Naomi snapped. "Why do you keep saying that?" The colonel chuckled, shaking his head. "Of course you are. Seriously, sir," Harper said, trying the tactful route. "What leads you to believe we are spies, and what exactly would we spy on here in the Wakan?" Tu's eyes narrowed and he smiled slyly. "Oh, you know very..." Marc Cameron's the author, page 256. "Well, Mr. Harper, I am not going to explain it to you. That is not how these matters work." "This is crazy," Naomi all but shrieked. "We are physicians. Ask all these people. There." She pointed to Lale's mother. "Look at that woman's bandage. Could a spy replace the lens in a person's eye?" A man beside Tu spoke up. He was younger, perhaps 25, with a prominent Adam's apple and an earnest smile that made him look more like a college student than a soldier kidnapper. His name was Shen, and he appeared to be the second in command. "Spies often have a subset of skills," he said, as if we were reading from a textbook and sincerely believed it. Tu rubbed his hands together. "I must insist you remain our guests until we get to the bottom of this." "How long do you anticipate that to be?" Harper asked. "As long as it takes," Tu said. "Wait just a minute," Naomi said. "We have to be on a flight out of Kabul, Nepal, in 3 days. We are starting down the valley tomorrow no matter what you say." Tu darkened, taking a step forward. Harper braced, but the colonel stopped, tilting his head to one side as if deciding how to proceed. "Mrs. Harper," he said, "ultimatums are the refuge of the weak. You will leave when I say it is time for you to leave, and not a moment sooner." His countenance softened at once, and he gestured to the back of the yurt, where the woman of the house cooked fresh flats of naan and a large pan of milk tea over a dung fire. "Please, join me for dinner. I have some excellent tinned meat and plum wine to bolster this meager fare." Harper stood his ground. "You realize that by crossing the," chain of command, page 257, "border as an armed, uniformed army, you are committing an act of war." "Spying is an act of war," the colonel said. "This part of the world is not a safe place for spies." "I ask again," Harper said, "who would we spy on?" "There are many militants in the area who, I am sure, would be keenly interested in your presence here." "Is that a threat?" Harper asked. "Except for the BF words." Yeah, there's a little bit of profanity in this book. It's not my favorite either. Harper asked, you are seriously threatening to ring up some Taliban commander and hand us over to get your reward?" "Oh, Captain Shen," the second in command said, "you would like that, wouldn't you?" "What?" "I am afraid you misunderstand me, Mr. Harper," Tu said. "I know very well that the Taliban would not harm you. It is them for whom you spy." What? Harper said again, beyond incredulous. That is insane, Naomi said. Captain Shen quoted his Intelligence 101 manual again. A spy will deny the accusations in the beginning. You must let us contact our embassy, Harper said. Ah, Colonel 2 said. That will be taken care of very soon. We're on chapter 36, page 258, but first give a shout out to Gatorade. Hope you're all having a wonderful evening. Make sure to drop a like. Hope you're enjoying the book. Feel free to give us suggestions for the next book we read to you guys. We have Dr. Pepper here. Fail. Shout out to Dr. Pepper. Let me know your favorite flavor of Dr. Pepper. I've heard Dr. Pepper Peeps, which I'll have to try. I've never tried that. That would be an interesting one to try. Alright, let's keep going. Chapter 36, page 258. Shanbei's parents were relieved to have the Harpers stay in their yurt and provide the extra care for the injured boy. Colonel 2 made it clear that thought there was nowhere for them to run. He had posted a guard outside the door for their own safety. They had not been there long before 2 Chinese soldiers dragged over the shepherds inside. He was in his late 40s, old for the walkie, with a map of lines from weather and now fear on his deeply bronzed face. Harper recognized him as Nazir, one of his first cataract surgery patients since coming to the Pamir. His wife, Farah, was related to the village leader. They had no living children, but she was heavily pregnant and a devoted attendee to Naomi's health classes. She came in next, face flushed with tears, eyes flitting around the smoky interior of the yurt like a terrified mouse. A third soldier followed close behind with a video camera and production light. This cannot be good, Naomi whispered. Nazir's hands were bound in front and his head hung down. His rolled wool pakal hat was pulled slightly to cover an abrasion over his left ear. Other than the spot over his ear, there, chain of command page 259, did not appear to be any obvious injuries. The soldiers placed his back to the felt wall, kneeling him on a cushion. Abdulin, the Tajik army captain, surveyed the area behind the captive, removed some colorful paper Shanbei's mother had used for decoration, and tossed it on the floor out of the frame. The soldier with the video camera looked through his viewfinder and gave a curt nod. Colonel 2 strode in next, Harper's former assistant Layla on her heels. Unfortunately, 2 said, I do not speak Wakhi, but I do speak Russian. I understand you do as well. The girl has agreed to translate this man's statement into Russian for us. Naomi fumed. His statement. 2 put his finger to his lips. Shh. The movie is about to begin. The soldiers standing on either side of Nazir each took a half step away and then stretched black balaclavas over their heads. A red light illuminated on the video camera, and Colonel 2 nodded at Layla, who told the trembling man to begin. His head came up slowly, his eyes, surely still tender from recent surgery, squinting at the bright production light. He cleared the phlegm from his throat and took a deep, shuddering breath. I am Nazir. He coughed again, licked his lips, and looked at 2 as if for guidance. The colonel growled low and menacing. We talked about this, he said. Layla translated rapidly. Look straight into the camera. It is very simple. Repeat the words you told me before. 2 nodded at the cameraman again. Begin. I am Nazir Bayat. I am in good physical health, and my... Marc Cameron is the author, page 260. Mind is sound. I have not been tortured or harmed in any way. At this time, I wish to unburden myself with a confession of a great wrong that I have committed. For 2 years, I have served as an agent from the East Turkestan Freedom Movement against China. In recent weeks, I have had numerous contacts with Taliban officials to discuss training classes. Nazir paused, licked his lips, and then continued. Classes in the use of firearms and improvised explosives. I was recruited to these classes by Dr. Monte Harper and his wife. I am ashamed of my actions against all peaceful people in Tajikistan and our peaceful neighbors in China. That is all I have to say. Dude, you're a pedo. Vasily awope. What does that mean? What's a pedo? Are you insulting me? That's not wise to do, my friend. The red light on the video camera flicked off, leaving Nazir wallowing pitifully in the glare of the production lamp. He turned away, cringing when the soldier lowered the camera. Lele turned to meet Harper's eyes. She shook her head, apologizing without words for her part in this fiasco. There is a bit of weather on the horizon, Tu said, but as soon as it passes you will be taken to China, where you will stand trial for espionage. Naomi, stunned for Nazir's out-of-the-blue sham confession, finally got her bearings. You cannot believe we are actually spies. Tu grinned and gave a little shrug. It is not what I believe, he said, but what the party tribunal will believe. Harper met the colonel's eye glaring. He was a good 6 inches taller than the man and outweighed him by 50 pounds. One of the soldiers took this as a threat and struck him in the side of the head with the butt of his AK-47. Harper's legs went wobbly. He staggered but kept his feet. Chain of command, page 261. Naomi sprang forward, but another soldier caught her by the hair and yanked her backward, throwing her to the ground. Enough, the colonel roared, taking even Harper aback. Do not be confused by my calm demeanor. My men will kill you if you force them. Harper felt the sting of blood in his eye and dabbed at his brow. Naomi tried to stand again, but he put out his hand, urging her to stay put. Even if we were spies, he said, trying to keep from panting from overwhelming fear, which we are not, what makes you believe that you can march into Afghanistan, where we are guests of the government, and kidnap us? Haleh looked up and gave a forlorn shake of her head. Nazir is Waki from Tajikistan. In video, he says he from there. Just so, Colonel Tu harumphed, looking pleased with himself. For all the world knows, for all I know, you two recruited him there. Nothing in the video will give away our location. On the contrary, a Tajikistan man speaking of the Taliban, ISIS, and Free East Turkestan in his home country, where all of those groups pose a serious threat. It is not a great leap forward to believe you are in Tajikistan. The colonel flicked his hand toward Nazir, beckoning him closer. The shepherd climbed shakily to his feet without the use of his hands and approached head down. The problem is, Tu said, our friend Nazir seems to put great trust in you. I am afraid he will recant his statement the moment he has the opportunity. Nazir stood listening, able to grasp that there was something important being said, though he could not understand the words. Marc Cameron's the author, page 262. What's going on, everybody? Hope you're having a wonderful evening. Make sure to drop a like. I hope you're enjoying the book. Please refrain from trying to insult us. You're just going to make yourself look pretty stupid, not gonna lie. Alright, moving on. 2. Look directly at Harper. That is why I need you to kill him. You are insane. Harper spat. Kill him or I will kill both him and his pregnant wife. I will not, Harper whispered. Two gave a curt nod and 2 soldiers grabbed Harper's arms while the cameraman grabbed Naomi. 2 drew a Makarov pistol from the flap holster on his belt and made circles in the air with the barrel as if deciding which way to point it. Then I will kill your wife as well. Kill us all, Naomi whispered through clenched teeth. He's not shooting anyone. Very well, Tu said, pointing the Makarov as bewildered Nazir's temple and pulling the trigger. The pistol crack shook the enclosed space of the yurt, causing everyone but Nazir's wife to flinch. The poor shepherd went rigid before toppling over backward. His head slammed against the carpeted floor and the stones beneath with a sickening thump. His wife sank to her knees over the body, wailing in abject sorrow. She had to lift sideways to reach him because of her pregnant belly. Colonel 2 kept the Makarov up, making circles in the air again as he studied the grieving woman. Harper struggled against the impossible grip of the soldiers. No, stop, please, leave her alone. 2 lowered the weapon slowly and gave a sad shake of his head. I am not an animal, Dr. Harper, he said. There is no need to kill his wife at this time. Naomi turned her face to the ceiling and screamed. She jerked against the single guard that held her, giving him a run for his money. You bastard, you're insane. Chain of Command, page 263. What's going on, everybody? Hope you're having a wonderful evening. Make sure to drop a like. I hope you're enjoying the book. 2 gave a long, exhausted groan, then looked back and forth between the Harpers. I am not insane, he said. On the contrary, if I were a madman, you would have a chance against me. I might make some mistake. That is not the case, I assure you. I swear to you, Naomi spat. You 2 raised a hand as if to strike, cutting her off. What is the matter with you, Dr. Harper? He snapped. You plainly see that I will not hesitate to put a bullet in a man's skull. This is serious business, and there are plenty of people in the village with whom I can and will demonstrate that fact to you. You are sorely mistaken if you think I will not do to you what I did to poor Nazir. You believe that I need you alive. 2 sighed, calming, giving a little shrug, and in some respect, that is true. He squatted down on his haunches, leaning in closer to Naomi's face. But you must remind yourself of this. I only need one of you. The soldiers made Harper help drag Nazir's body away from camp and stuff it in a large stone enclosure where sheep were normally kept. Dead man's wife followed, weeping, but the soldiers chased her away and sent Harper back to his yurt, pantomiming that he should go to sleep, and no doubt making lewd gestures about his wife. Shambé's father cut out the blood-stained portion of carpeting where Nazir had died and stuffed it in the fire. Overcome with exhaustion, Harper dozed in the corner while Naomi tended to Shambé, who was now running a fever. Sometime later, he was not sure how long, Harper awoke to raucous laughter that drifted in from outside of the yurt when... Oh, so we have a map here. It says Wakhan Corridor, Afghanistan, Tajikistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan, tribal villages, the Molong, Thong, Bagboy, Asan, Katish, and Pakistan's pretty far away. You can kind of see it there. Alright, what are we on? Chain of Command, page 265. Let's get a little breather here. Shout out to Gatorade. Make sure to stay hydrated. And shout out to Dr. Pepper. Let me know your favorite flavor of Dr. Pepper. Is it Dr. Pepper Peeps we've heard so far? Alright, I'm gonna throw that away. That was good. Okay, let's keep going. A little time check. Alright, we're doing good. What's going on, everybody? Hope you're having a wonderful evening. Make sure to drop a like. Hope you're enjoying the book. Chain of Command, page 265. Lale lifted the felt door and crept inside. She spoke quickly to Shambé's mother, who put a hand on her shoulder and nodded. Yasmin will let me sleep here tonight, Lale said. It is safer in here with you. Of course. Naomi nodded after Harper translated the girl's Russian. I understand. Harper motioned the girl closer so the guard outside would not be able to hear. What is the colonel doing? He asked. Could you see? He talks on the phone a lot, Lale said. A satellite phone, but not yours. Could you tell what he was saying? I am sorry, the girl said. I could hear some of it, but I could not understand it. That is right, Harper said, disappointed. You do not speak Chinese. No, Lale said. He spoke in English. Harper translated for Naomi. I'm not going to be able to sleep, she said, but we should at least try and get some rest. Shambé's mother made everyone pallets of yak felt and distributed all the blankets she had, borrowing one from her own bed to give to the Harpers. What are we going to do? Naomi whispered from the darkness beside Harper. You heard the colonel. He's holding this entire village hostage if we don't play ball. We came here to help them, and now we are getting them killed, putting all of these sweet people in danger. That is what I do not get, Harper whispered back, his face just inches from his wife's, but unable to see her. Colonel 2, Mark Cameron is the author, page 266, has not told us what he wants, except that we admit to being spies. He's using us as pawns in some bigger game. I just cannot figure out what it is. Well, Naomi said, whatever it is, these poor people have no part in it. We have to do something to help them. I know, Harper said. It's just that I cannot imagine losing you. The blanket rustled and she reached up to touch his cheek. Remember what we used to say when we decided to venture out and work in far-flung places like this? Harper nodded, a lump in his throat. What could we get done if we were not afraid? Well, I'm so over being afraid, Naomi's words buzzed against his neck. We have left a hell of a mark on the world, you and me, 2 exceptional daughters and the best grandbaby anybody ever even heard of. I do not want to be fatalistic, but I am not going to stand by while that bastard shoots another innocent person. I'm not arguing with you, Harper said. Good, Naomi said, snuggling in closer as if such a thing was possible. So we both die, big deal. I tell you what, though, I'd really like to cut that colonel's balls off before I go. Harper chuckled, patting her on the shoulder. That's my girl, he said, but let's be smart about it. Sure, Naomi said under her breath. Spies, can you believe that? I'm so mad at that asshole who took your watch. He is kind of a jerk, Harper said. How about we make a plan to get it back? She turned toward him. Your watch? Yeah. Chain of command, page 267. I'm intrigued, she said, so long as I still get to, do that thing to the colonel. A loose plan began to form in Harper's head as exhaustion pulled him under. He drifted off to the smell of smoldering yak dung and a hint of soured milk. A little time check. Okay, we're on chapter 37, page 268. What's going on, everybody? Hope you're having a wonderful evening. Make sure to drop a like. Hope you're enjoying the book. And here we go. But first, let's give a shout out to Gatorade. All right. Hey, Dawi, Sergeant First Class Eric Ripper Ward said, knocking on Captain Alan Brock's containerized housing unit. Got a second? The rousing beat of Corb Lung song Horse Soldier spilled out from beneath the door of Brock's CHU. Like many operators in United States Special Forces, Ward used more familiar terms when he communicated with his team commander than a traditional infantry soldier would have done. Dawi, the Vietnamese term for captain, was a tradition handed down through generations of Green Berets. Ward was Operational Detachment Alpha 0312 18Z, the operations or team sergeant, as the ODA commander. Captain Brock's job was to look up and out, calculating risk and political fallout. There could be a shitload of that. And constantly assessing each mission. The team sergeant was the team's daddy and ran the day-to-day show. The members of Operational Detachment Alpha 0312 were assigned to 10th Special Forces 3rd Battalion, 1st Company, Team 2, Mountaineers and Horse Soldiers, ODA 0312, commonly called an A-Team. A military brat himself, Ward bled Army Green. His ranger, chain of command, page 269, father was a barrel-chested black man from the Deep South who'd met Ward's statuesque, blonde German mother after a training exercise in Mittenwald, Germany. He had grown up listening to his old man stories, learning land navy before he was 8, doing push-ups and ruck runs for punishment for as long as he could remember. As his father said, you could either be a smart ranger or a strong ranger. The more you screwed up, the more you pushed up. Eric did enough stupid shit in his early life that his father saw to it that he became extremely fit. Then he met Greedy, and he decided he could be both. There was no question that Eric would join the military. His mother encouraged him to finish college and commission as an officer. Rather than office advice, his father introduced him to an endless line of senior enlisted friends of his. Some had gone to college, some had not, but all of them had kick-ass careers that involved limited time driving a desk. They were leaders who stayed in the trenches sweating and bleeding with their soldiers, not rear echelon pogues. One of them was a special forces sergeant the old man called Greedy because he had a reputation for keeping all the most difficult and unpleasant tasks for himself. They had sat around the campfire, Ward, his old man, and Greedy, the two men talking reverently about friends they had lost, men they had worked alongside. Greedy worked the tenets of special forces into his conversation in terms that resonated with a teenage boy. Be a quiet professional, be a warrior, be an expert at the unconventional, be a partner, be an agile problem solver. Above all, have a noble purpose. Greedy and his old man had toasted the United States Army to the superlative and the shitty. Superlative. Marc Cameron is the author, page 270. Eric could still hear the clink of their beer bottles hitting together beside the fire. He started college to appease his mom, but finished because he found he loved history and had a knack for Arabic. The recruiter had nearly pissed himself when Eric walked in with a degree in Middle Eastern Studies, a minor in Arabic, and a conversant knowledge of Farsi, and then said he wanted to enlist. You do not want to become an officer. Not at this time, Sergeant. What is it you want to do in the Army? Ward felt like a dick all these years later that he had been so overly dramatic, but he had looked dead in the recruiter's eyes and said, De appresso la bear. If I had a nickel for every kid who strutted into this office and told me they were going to be a Green Beret. Ward could not help but grin at the memory as the captain of Special Forces Operational Attachment Alpha 0312 opened the door to his CHU. Ripper, he said, what's up? Brock's brown grizzly bear beard was mussed from leaning on his hand while he studied intelligence reports on his tough book. He wore PT gear, green t-shirt and shorts, and a pair of shower shoes. You see the intelligence about the American doctors? Reading it now, Brock said. Picked up as Taliban spies somewhere in Darshai, Afghanistan. Ward nodded. S2 has a Tajikistan opium dealer who believes they were transported to some shepherd camps in the north. Does not know where, but that still does not make sense. Darshi's Afghanistan on the road system. I can see trekking in somewhere to chain of command, page 271. Spy if there was worthwhile intelligence, but holy shit. Boss, we're talking about a bunch of sheep and rocks. Fair point. Jake, get a call from that yak trader we worked with last month. Jake was Sergeant Thalane, the ODA's 0312's 18F or intelligence sergeant. He is hearing noise that Tajikistan soldiers have been coming south into the corridor. Maybe the doctors were snatched and taken over the border. Captain Brock gave a nodding shrug. That fits, he said. These doctors, the Harpers, were supposedly doing medical work in the Big Pamir. That is less than 20 miles from Tajikistan as the crow flies. A crow or a Tajikistan chopper, Ward said. National Missions Force is looking at possible locations in Tajikistan. Dushanbe, Tajikistan appears to be cooperating. Brock already knew SEAL Team 6 and Delta were, after all, the units most prepared to do hostage rescue. Still, it went against both men's grain to know something was going down without them being a part of it. We have worked the corridor before, the captain said. Hire wants to do some snooping around where the doctors were doing their work. What do we know about these shepherd camps? Scattered through the high country, Sergeant Ward said. There's not enough arable land along the valley floor to grow wheat and graze their livestock, so about half the Waki families take the village herds of yaks and those fat-ass sheep off of theirs into the high Pamir to graze. They follow the melt-up and the snow down in the fall, a summer migration of sorts. They call it a kush. Like I said before, it is mostly sheep, and Marc Cameron's the author, page 272. Rocks and yurts made out of yak felt. ISR. From the latest predator flyover did not show anything out of the ordinary. The bird was not on station long enough to establish patterns of life or anything. I'd like to get more time on station, but every available asset is focused over Tajikistan. Make sure Horse Soldier continued to play in the background, and the men unconsciously stopped in reverent silence when the song reached the lines about special forces. Brock took a deep breath, looking into the distance. Something about this smells off. Have Jack check in with his favorite yak trader again and any other local assets we have in and around the Wakhan, Tajikistan, on the off chance that the doctors are still stashed in Afghanistan. I'm going to call in a couple of favors. Ward raised a brow. Favors? A single predator flyover does not give us much to go on. I think the powers that be are putting a hell of a lot of faith in their intelligence that the Harpers are somewhere in Tajikistan. I mean, listen, what do they have? The Harper's daughter reports them missing. A Tajikistan farmer says he saw some soldiers with people he believes to be American prisoners, and a grainy cell phone video of a woman who bears some resemblance to Dr. Naomi Harper sneaking across a closed border. Hell, I've seen 2 videos this morning of the President of the United States getting a lap dance. I'm not a big believer in video evidence anymore. Tajikistan government seems to believe the video, Ward said, playing devil's advocate. They're going apeshit about Americans spying for the Taliban in their country, and from all chain of command, page 273, accounts cooperating with the national mission guys to find them. The only difference, Brock said, is that the Tajikistan are calling in a fugitive hunt. We are calling it a rescue. Ward grinned. Tomato. Whatever we call it is going to be tough to get any ISR here when they are all tasked. ISR was intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance, comprised of, among other platforms, satellite imagery and remotely piloted aircraft such as the Predator and Reaper. Additionally, Special Forces had several smaller RPAs like Boeing, Scan Eagle, Sky Dio X2s, and the tiny FLIR Black Hornet. The military is not the only outfit out here with predators, Brock said. I know a guy. A pained look flashed across Ward's face like someone just told him he had to go to the dentist. A Central Intelligence Agency guy? Yep, Brock smiled. With any luck, we'll have something over Big Premier spooled up and ready by dinner. That is what I like about you, sir, Ward said. You drink big. Brock shrugged. Like I said, something doesn't smell right about this. The doctors, Harper might well be in Tajikistan or China or Pakistan or dead at the bottom of some glacier crevice. For sure, Ward said, but if they are still in Afghanistan, we'll find them. Of that, Ripper, Brock said, I have zero doubt. Alright, little time check. I think we're good here. Chapter 38, page 274. I think we're going to stop there. Alright. Hope you all have a wonderful evening. Make sure to drop a like on the way out. And we out. Peace.